Hey everybody, it's Joey Valley TCG. So today we are going to be opening up a booster box of Glory of Team Rocket Chinese edition. So you might notice that my background is very different from my usual setup. And usually I don't have Chinese booster boxes of Pokemon just lying around to open. And the reason for that is I'm actually in another country right now, on a little bit of a holiday, for personal reasons as well as fun reasons. It's actually pretty interesting. I was able to find this booster box at the Pokemon Center here in Taipei. And I will be actually adding a little bit of a blurb to the end of the video to show you guys the really cool setup that they have out here. But anyway, so today we are going to be talking about Pokemon, and then of course this is a predominantly One Piece channel, so we're also going to be talking about PRB02. So look forward to that. If you guys could also like, comment, and subscribe. Do appreciate everybody's support. I also have been reading your comments. So I will be making a video for some of the feedback that you guys have given me of topics to talk about. But anyways, let's just kind of get into this booster box. The Japanese ones and the traditional Chinese booster boxes are pretty much the same thing. Ooh. At least whether it's the setup or number of packs or variety of things. So it's actually very, very familiar if you guys have opened up a Japanese booster box before. The sets as well, cards inside, rarities, everything is pretty much the same as Japanese versions. But this is the first time I've opened up Glory of Team Rocket. I think this is like $85 per booster box. I think at release was actually more than that. And I apologize, I know the lighting's going to be a little bit off. I just have this one weird light above me. But yeah, the cards are, I mean, we have all of these in the US already. It's pretty much the same thing. But Pokemon's pretty crazy right now. If you wanted to buy this booster box here in Taipei at the Pokemon Center, it's only, first of all, more than anything, it's actually available for purchase. I think that's maybe the most important thing at MSRP. And then it's readily available versus in the West. I mean, guys, Destin Rivals booster boxes went up to like $400 a booster box, right? I was kind of waiting for the reprint, which hasn't come just yet. I was hoping to buy like a case of booster boxes, $200, $220, hopefully like somewhere around there per box. And that just never happened. So we're in a waiting game. I do think that Pokemon has underprinted most of the most recent sets. They just weren't really ready for the level of demand that we're seeing. So as a result, I think we're just really massively underprinted right now. That implies that we're going to see probably more supply later on. Pokemon is very good about catching up to demand. But because they've just had such a hot cadence of releases, Mega Evolutions now, in fact, with Mega Evolutions, booster box prices, week after release, $300 a booster box. I mean, that just screams that they're going to reprint soon. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Oh, nice little Mewtwo card, Mewtwo EX. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I do think there's going to be reprints for years to come. But for now, we are going to see very high prices. And that's just, it is unfortunate. I do agree. But, speaking to, look, if you've had Pokemon for some time now, like, your collection is worth so much more, and it's actually pretty crazy. You know, I've been collecting since 2022. In the last 3 months alone, my Pokemon Seal collection is up 70%. I mean, that just tells me, my takeaway is that this is going to be like the bubble of bubbles. Oh, a nice little orbital card, very nice. Hopefully you guys can see that without it being too dark. Nice. First alternate art, AR. There's 3 of them in this box, as well as a SAR caliber card. So hopefully we get like something really good. But yeah, I mean, guys, like, when anything goes up 70% in 3 months, that's a bubble. Tell me if you guys disagree. I would love to hear your opinions otherwise, whether it's like stocks, whether it's real estate, you know, something else like that. But historically, anything that goes up this much in such a short amount of time, it's like bubble, if not mega bubble type of territory. Makes me very concerned about Pokemon, which is kind of, to some extent, on One Piece. I do think that One Piece is a lot more resilient because prices haven't gone crazy. There's just less room to fall to some extent. But, you know, people might think, oh, like, that's a bad thing because prices are lower. I don't know about that. I think there's a lot of anchoring bias in investing. So when people feel like, oh, my cards, like, let's just say, you know, this Larvitar or Pupitar card, it's $5,000. Now it's down to $2,000. I'm going to freak sale everything I have. It's, you know, it's just human psyche, human mentality. And then the immediate takeaway is just that this is over. Like, the game, the jig is up, and let's get out of this as soon as possible. And that mentality keeps prices lower for longer, because there's such a level of scarring within it. So that's my takeaway. Let me know if you guys feel otherwise. Put it in the comments below if you guys think this isn't a bubble, or, you know, otherwise, like, where do you think the market is today? I would love to hear your feedback on that. Anyways, I think we're about like halfway through the box. Obviously just one AR. The key is to get that one big hit, right? Like that big hit. Oh, nice little Houndoom. I have this one in English from Destined Rivals. It's just a really, really nice card. It's so pretty. Nice. So we've had 2 alternate arts, both really, in my opinion, bangers so far, even the Orbital. All right, so talking about One Piece, right? Why do I want to talk about One Piece? So One Piece Pure V 02 prices are really settling down, right? Like, you think prices were going to go down, but really, on release, they haven't. So $172 a booster box, Pure V 02. I do wonder if it's going to go down too much more from here. I think it would require a full reprint or some type of like freak selling type of situation. And it's hard to see that happening right now. It could happen, right? People might need to churn money for the holidays to buy PRB13, or PRB13, OP13. Carrying on His Will, I believe it's the name, which is going to be the 3rd anniversary booster box for One Piece. So I think there is going to be a nice Kangaskhan. Let's go. Let's go. Pretty looking Kangaskhan. I think this is definitely one of my favorite cards from this. I wish I had this in English. I think in English this card is like really, really pricey. So, you know, we'll see if prices come down with the reprint. But anyways, I was just going to say that PRB02 prices are really, really high, especially in the US. I pre-ordered from Hobbiesville in Canada, and you know, I thought like those guys were going to be absolutely screwed because they mostly sell into the US at full price. But the thing is, so I got my tariff bill, right? I got a tariff bill because I was buying it from Canada, and it was like $60 for 12 booster boxes. So I don't know how they're calculating the base costs, but it seems like they're able to kind of navigate the tariffs a little bit better than others. I do wonder if they're just really marking down the value of their package. So, you know, Joey in America is not going to get absolutely slammed and therefore never purchase from Hobbiesville again. It could be that. And then I was thinking, you know what? If these guys are getting booster boxes, right, at ideally a cheap rate, because in the U.S. there's going to be less demand because there's such a high tariff rate. So Canada, Europe, or whatever, right? There's comments in my section, in my last video, in the comments section, saying that, in Europe you can find, 75 euro PRB boxes, which is like under $100. I mean, that to me is crazy. So it almost seems like, if other regions are getting inventory, let's say like the US is buying less, right? Because it's all made in Japan and it's being shipped to the US. The US is buying less because tariffs are so high. Other regions are getting more boxes. As a result, the allocation is higher, right? But then at a cheaper price because they're buying in bulk and they're getting a lot more. I do wonder if that's actually going to really benefit other regions in the future, because they're getting more inventory at a cheaper price. There's less demand internationally because they usually just sell into the US for their excess demand. So I wonder if they're like, at first they're not going to sell that much into the US, and then they have all this inventory, they navigate the tariffs a little bit. All that market share that would have gone to LGSs in the United States could actually be just going to like European, Canadian stores, right? Get more inventory for cheaper, can sell into, even with a tariff, right? Even if that 75 euro booster box comes to the United States at a 15% markup, that's still cheaper. That's significantly cheaper than the 150 that we're seeing from, like, let's say, 88 Card House, Double Infinity, some of these pretty sizable LGSs that sell online. So I do wonder if there's such a bad kind of reflexivity on top of existing LGSs in the United States that ultimately it really hurts our supply chain, but at the same time really benefits these other stores. So if you're like a Rudolfo from Alpha Beta Investments, you are not happy with this current situation because you're not able to buy for a ton of inventory for cheap, right? But for blank store in the Netherlands, you're very, very happy. Maybe not so happy initially, but over time you kind of realize that with the tariffs backfiring, it's going to help you out. All right, so this is the last one. We have a nice little Giovanni. Not the big hit that we were looking for, but it is what it is. It's still a nice hit. I don't think I've ever seen this card in English, which is in person at least. So it is a nice looking card. All right, so the rest of the packs are dead packs. We're just going to run through them to kind of take him off the inventory supply. So it's kind of like, have you guys ever read about what's happening with like the soybeans in China, with Chinese buying soybeans from the United States, right? It's kind of like the same thing as how I'm thinking about what's happening in the card world, right? So if you haven't really kept up with it, so China obviously has these big ass tariffs from the United States, right? So they can't really export into the US for those tariff reasons. And as a result, China, to kind of like build some leverage against the U.S. They're like, yeah, you know what? Like, we're just not going to buy soybeans from the U.S. Last year, we bought $15 billion worth of soybeans. This year, we're going to buy zero. So, I mean, it's like this ridiculous chart where like soybean purchases just went down. Right? They're not buying it for their tofu. They're buying it from Argentina instead and other countries instead, just not the United States. So what's happening is that, you know, to help out those farmers in the U.S. who are now lacking $15 billion in sales, the U.S. government had to step in, and they're talking about like giving them $15-20 billion or whatever it is to make up for the loss. Unfortunately, for us in the United States, in the card game, we're not getting bailouts, right? There's no government stimmies that's going to come in and like bail out Joey, you know, Valley TCG. When I'm buying a booster box, you're going to give me 30% off, right? Like Donnie's not that kind of a guy. He might bail out the farmers because it's his voter base, but, you know, card Game Boys are not his voter base, unfortunately. So that just means that, you know, at least in the medium term, our LGSs might suffer. We shall see if that continues longer term. Those tariffs could be permanent, could not be. We shall see. But anyways, maybe we should lobby the government for One Piece bailouts. I think that should be like a #1 agenda item for the government, in my opinion. I'm not biased at all. So anyways, that's it from me, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the opening, and thanks for listening to me rambling on about, you know, cards and tariffs and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think of this set. If you guys have been buying Destined Rivals, have been buying PRBO2, I want to kind of get a sense of, like, you know, the heat, a little bit of a heat check, right, of what's happening in the LGS space. Really, I think it's a very dynamic market. A lot of really interesting things going on from a demand perspective as well from a supply perspective. And let me know if you guys have heard from your LGSs, right? How are they feeling about inventory? What are they doing about it? So anyways, that's it from me. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys hopefully in the US soon. Hopefully, but it should be soon. Anyways, thanks. Bye. Yo, so this is the Pokemon Center in Taipei. Really, really cool spot. Tons of people. I think it was just kind of surprising to me how in demand Pokemon is in Taipei. There's no One Piece, there's no Dragon Ball or whatever. It's just Pokemon. Really, really interesting spot. Alright, this is the second part of the video. Just showing you guys the walkthrough. I am speeding this up a little bit just because this is otherwise would have been way too long of a video. But right now they have all these mega plushies out because of the mega set that's coming out in just a few days in Asia. They have food as well, Pokemon themed cookies and others. Obviously there's the video games. It was very heartwarming to see that all the kids were playing with their parents and they're really getting into the game. Those are our buyers in the future for the cards that we're holding on to. And then obviously, you know, cool little knick-knack toys, more plushies, you know, just other random stuff with Pokemon themed. And more plushies. There's so many plushies in these Pokemon centers. It's actually, you know, I was thinking, like, just how hard it is, how challenging it must be for the Taiwanese, for the Japanese, when we were in Japan. Like, their homes are not very large, right? And these plushies are, like, this Pikachu plushie was huge. Right, like it just takes up like your entire table. Like, how do you fit everything into your house? I don't get it. And then here's all of the,
cards. This is the Mega set that just came out, Mega Evolutions, in the US. All the different types of cards. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then other types of stuff. And then, oh, yes. Here are the cards. This is where I found... so you could just take one of these, like, booster packs, little cardboard things, and then go to the checkout, and then you can talk about how much you actually want, how many you want to buy. So pretty neat little spot. And then that's the checkout. Obviously, that's where all of your money gets evaporated. And then I did just another walkthrough. These are the mini plushies, right? So these mini plushies made a lot more sense in my mind, for Taiwanese people to buy. Again, because homes are relatively small over there. We don't have the McMansions in Taiwan as we do in the United States. And then Scarlet Violet, little, cool little thing. And then Pokeballs. And then, yeah, that's it.